Gambling is as old as time. I'm sure if you were to go back to any ancient civilization, they were betting on something. In the culture in Canada, we've seen so much more of it recently with the rise of all these sports betting sites. But there's also more events to wager on, not just sports. These days, people are predicting the outcomes of elections, some alarming accuracy sometimes. Prediction markets allow you to bet on some of these events and maybe make a profit. So, of course, then it is a topic well worth our consideration at Moolala. One of these prediction markets is called Polymarket, and we're going to focus on what it is, how it works with David Tyler. He is CEO of Outlier Technology, and he joins us from York in the UK. Hello there.
Hi, thank you very much for inviting me.
What is Polymarket? I have seen that word in a number of news stories. Really, I think the first time I probably saw it was around the November election in the US. What is it?
Well, yeah, so it's a prediction market, and I think a way to characterize that is perhaps it's like a stock exchange for bets for gambling. So, as you mentioned, you can create bets on virtually everything. There are currently bets on how many tweets is Elon Musk going to send in any one week. Um, there's anything and everything, and these are binary outcomes. So yes, no bets. Will the event happen or will it not? So it's quite a straightforward, you win or you lose.
And in any of these bets, Bruce has to have a David to be willing to make that bet. You can't make a bet with yourself. How does the marketplace work? Do you just sign up for an account and then attach your credit card number?
Effectively, yeah, you put credit in. So it's underpinned by cryptocurrency. That's the way that you introduce funds, and that's the way that you get funds out of it. It's just a way. I don't really think it does a huge amount, other than presenting a way to get currency in and out of the exchange. Um,
And would it be oversimplifying to say that this is a site for hobbyists, like a traditional sports betting site, or is there something more to it?
yeah, I mean they've really evolved into something that can attract kind of professional traders. The volumes that people can be trading can be very large. Um, when you look at any of the bets, they will have a liquidity number below them, and that just shows you how many bets, the volume of money that has been poured into that particular event, and they can go in very easily go into the millions and
Wow.
tens of millions.
And I know we're talking cryptocurrency, which is not apples to apples versus the pound or the Canadian dollar, but for the average bettor, is it, 20 bucks or 10 quid at stake, or is it 10,000?
No, so every bet, every unit of a bet is effectively a dollar, let's say. So you bet $1 on the outcome, and or sorry, the outcome is worth $1, and then you buy that bet. So you'll buy the yes bet or you'll buy the no bet, and the price that you'll pay reflects what the market thinks is the most likely outcome, or actually what they think the probability of that event happening or not happening will be.
We in the news have long followed the odds of often bettors in the UK, where they say the odds on favorite to win this or to win that. And sometimes that's accurate, and sometimes it's really, really not. What
Yeah.
is the sense these days with Polymarket as to the wisdom of the crowd? Are they placing bets that are consistent with how those events unfold?
Well, I suppose there's a few parts to that. So the first part, that the wisdom of crowds, and the principle behind that is essentially the average answer of a lot of people can very often be better than a single answer of a single expert.
Mhm.
Um, and one of the other principles at work here is when you're putting money on the line, you're really usually stating your actual opinion, which could be
Right.
very different to the opinion that you talk about. Because no one really wants to lose money. If you think this event's going to happen and you put money on it, well, that's probably a true reflection of what you think. So, from that perspective, it becomes a very good information gathering market. But as with any market and anytime you've got crowds, they can be spooked. You can get
Mm.
herding behavior. Um, when you've got uncertainty that gets to a certain level, um, people very often look to each other for validation. They, instead of using their own knowledge, everyone's running in the opposite direction screaming, and I should probably do the same without necessarily knowing why. Those kinds of things can spook a prediction market just in the same way that a regular stock market could be spooked.
Mm.
So they can be very accurate, but knowing when they're accurate, that's the problem.
Virtually impossible.
Indeed.
Any other downsides or red flags that you would highlight here? I mean, at base level, it seems like a cute, fun, little harmless thing. Do you have other concerns about the growth of these prediction markets?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's, it's very easy to attach hype to it. Um, you can very easily focus on, the kind of the winner's fallacy. When you see lots of very accurate predictions, well, those are the predictions that you see. It's very easy to forget some of the um, predictions that were made that were completely wrong. You know, in the UK, Brexit, the prediction markets, the polls, they were all completely wrong. In the US, the 2016 election, there are countless examples of where prediction markets and polls and so on have got it completely wrong. But it's very easy to just focus on when it's gone right, that kind of confirmation bias. And I think the other thing with it is we have to be really careful about what it is that's being predicted, what is being estimated, because it's easy to mistake what's being estimated as the probability of the event, and that isn't the case at all. What's being estimated and or effectively what's being kind of played back, if you like, is the uncertainty associated with an outcome. So if that bet is going to pay out £1 or $1, and it's trading currently at 70 cents for a yes, that means that collectively the marketplace thinks that there's a 70% chance that this event is actually going to happen.
Mm.
Now that's the bigger probability. You think, well, that's much more certain, but there's a 30% chance that it couldn't, that it doesn't happen. And a 30% chance is not zero. um,
Yeah.
if you played that 100 times, 30 of those times, the answer would go against
Yeah.
you, and you would never know which time round it would be. So it's very easy, I think, to get caught up in some of that hype and some of the surrounding technology, and it's using blockchain and all these kinds of things, which
Mm.
can distract, I think.
One last question before we go. You referenced crypto. You actually kind of framed it as being a pretty benign component of the whole thing. When we talk about and think about crypto, it's quite speculative here. In
Yes.
your telling, it sounds just like a convenient global currency. Are there other risk factors, though, for people playing in that game that are different than it would be if it was just, it is denominated in pounds?
Yeah, I mean, I think the core of it is they use a stable coin as a way to exchange money in and out of the platform. So rather than betting in Bitcoin and so on, rather than that being the core currency, they try to use a stable coin that's aligned with, a fiat currency. So that takes some of that speculative nature out of it. But you're exactly right that even stable coins can experience quite, unstable behaviors. So there is an element of that. I think as well, though, there's the speculative side of it. I mean, this is betting. I mean, all trading is essentially betting, but
Mm,
this is very much closer to going into the bookmakers and placing a bet on a horse, right?
yeah.
Um, it's much closer to that, and some of the the risks. I was looking yesterday, and there's a whole section on Elon Musk and what he's going to be tweeting, the numbers that he's going to be tweeting in any one week. So there's no intrinsic value to it. It's not an
Right.
investment. It is pure and utter speculation.
Have you tried it as a part of your research? Have you, made some bets on this thing?
No, I haven't. I've looked at it. I've looked at it from a probability standpoint and from an understanding standpoint. I learned quite young that I'm not a born gambler.
Me
So
neither. I barely buy raffle tickets at a children's fair. So, and there at
yeah.
least it's a good cause.
Yes, exactly, exactly.
Really, really interesting stuff. David, thank you for providing us with your take on these prediction markets. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, and thanks for inviting me on.
David Tyler, CEO of Outlier Technology. He joined us from the UK to talk about prediction markets, and one in particular called Polymarket that allows you to make a bet on, geez, virtually anything.